Pawan. Thank you for being here. I have an amazing panel with me. I have Vikram online. Hi, Vikram. Can you hear us well?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for the check. So we've got an amazing panel here. We've got people from who are industry veterans, leaders at largest of the retailers of the world. At the same time, we also have people who are young entrepreneurs working in technology and AI. So amazing panel. First of all, I think the idea here is we obviously are talking about AI. And post-pandemic, as our host was mentioning, that AI has become amazingly, AI is becoming even more important, more and more important as in the industry. And I think we'll talk today about how each of these companies are using or planning to use AI. And I think like how we want to take it forward is, let's talk about the real problems and challenges the industry is facing and see how AI and technology are really helping solve those challenges instead of just diving straight into AI and the jargons. So maybe we can start one by one, talk about the biggest challenges the industry is facing. I think the industry has gone through a lot of difficult times due to the pandemic. At the same time, some of them have benefited as well because of the tailwinds. So maybe you can start with you, Amit. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Pawan. I mean, in fashion, definitely there are many challenges we've faced in last 2-3 years. Although it made us learn so many things. I mean, the complete digital transformation happened during this COVID time, right? So, apart from other challenges, I believe the major challenge is inventory. So in the complete business, I'll talk about 4-5 major elements. One is the product, one is the price, and then inventory, and then the planning of all the complete sales channels. So if we can plan inventory well using these AI techniques, so I believe that will solve majority of the issues. So I was reading somewhere, I believe if some of the processes can be more efficient using this technology, the complete retail globally can save $300 billion a year. So making it more efficient, making the inventory or producing products based on the real demand. I mean, it can, I've also heard another data wherein 9 billion garments per year are being, put into the trash. So it's a huge saving. So 20 to 40% saving can be done through these, to put more efficiency into the system and processes. So I believe one major thing, inventory, if that problem can be reduced, it cannot be solved 100%. But yes, gradually, algos can make the machine learning more efficient, so that we can get better results. This way we can plan better, we can sell better. So that is one of the major problem I want to say.
No, thanks, Amit. So Amit, by the way, is the CIO of Shree. I thought I'll introduce again. So Sriram, I think you work on a very different set of problems. I think pretty interesting. I saw the product. Would love to understand how your customers have lapped up your product, how the use case of online, especially post-pandemic, how use cases have changed, and what are the biggest demand from your customers these days?
Yeah, so thanks. So I'll probably take in where Amit left. It's about selling better is the word that he used. So sell more, sell better is what we try and do with Dave AI. So maybe I'll talk about two perspectives. First, as a technology company, our biggest or the challenge that we're trying to address is to not think like a technology company, right? We were talking just before this panel. It's about, so if you look at our team that runs fashion or personal lifestyle, we have designers, apparel entrepreneurs, so that they work with our data scientists and our technology teams to ensure that it's more about what the brand wants to do with their customers and what's the experience they want to offer, offline, online, right? We all know that that shift is anyways happening, and at all these touch points, you know, everything that Amit spoke about is relevant, but it's about to understand how can you give the customer or make the customer feel at home or give the experience that they love, which could be, think about a store that you visited and you had a seamless experience from finding the products that you wanted, to be able to try that on seamlessly, to be able to be assisted by somebody who knows the product, knows your preferences in real time without delay, right? And that's what you attempt to achieve as a brand in a physical store. The fundamentals of that business still remains the same, because customers expect no different when they're online. Online, you also have now an expectation that, you know, I'm sharing so much data, and you know me, so this experience should be much better, right? So as a technology company, that's our challenge, to think like a fashion retailer and a brand and connect with customers. When we talk to our customers who are fashion brands, they come to us with challenges which are, you have so much data today and so much technology systems that are available. How do you cut through that layer and just talk about what a customer wants, right? So for us at Dave, you know, we look at it simply in terms of, you know, like what Amit said again, when a customer is there interacting with your brand, irrespective of what channel they are in, how can you show them the best product in a form factor that they like, using avatars or whatever technology we use, and seamlessly and intuitively influence them without them knowing that they're being influenced, right? Without irking that customer. I think that's my perspective as an opening point.
No, super helpful, Sriram. So next we have Kuntal, who's the co-founder of StyleNote. Kuntal, would love to know, it's an amazing model, I love that. Would love to know more about what are the biggest changes you are seeing in the industry and what are the challenges you are trying to solve?
Hi, is this on? So hi, I run StyleNote. We basically are changing the way users find clothes they love by combining technology with the human touch of a style expert. She comes in, she tells us about herself, and using AI and a human stylist, we recommend 10 to 15 pieces for her to look at. What she likes, she buys. What she doesn't like, she gives us feedback, and that's how we get better. I like to say we're like Netflix for fashion. The more you use us, the better we get. What I also agree with what you said, right? Like AI honestly allows you to make certain things scalable and affordable. Without the AI, the technology, the stylist could still do this, except it would be far more expensive, and we would have to pass that charge on to other users. I think as far as the pandemic is concerned, the inventory problem that you highlighted is absolutely valid, right? Because on one hand, there are users that need products. On the other hand, we're seeing from our brands that there is a consistent problem of discounts, markdowns, clearances, and then finally we're dealing with landfills. I mean, fashion is considered like the second most polluting industry after oil. So I think that is a huge question as to why we're still dealing with this. I don't think it's come out of the pandemic. It was there even before. The pandemic just brought it to the forefront. One thing we're noticing from a user side, which I haven't been able to figure out where it's actually come in, but it's really interesting, is that users seem to be getting more vocal about the fact that they should have this. So we see, and I'm going to talk about women because that's our core target, but we see a lot of women asking us that why aren't there clothes for this particular problem that I have? Or why aren't there clothes for someone who's 4'11"? Why aren't there clothes for women who are going through menopause? Why aren't there clothes for women who are pregnant and want to go back to those clothes after they've delivered? And I can't figure out where that shift has happened, but I can see that vocalization is actually increasing post the pandemic. Like users believe that their voices can be heard, and I attribute it largely to social media and Instagram. And I think we're going to see that change happening.
Thank you, Kuntal. I think definitely more self-expression and more personalization are actually going to be big in the coming days. Social media is obviously pushing towards that. It's the biggest tailwind. Yeah. So next up we have Vishal, who is the CTO at Marks & Spencer's. Vishal, I think would love to understand from you in terms of how, as a very leading retailer, one of the largest in the world, what are the biggest challenges you guys are facing?
Okay. Vikram, I hope you are hearing us. I see a tense face. When your turn is turning. So, I think we should give Vikram a chance, and then I will start. Vikram?
Absolutely.
Yeah? You're on a virtual world. Yeah. Please. Then I'll go.
We can, go ahead.
So, if I think about fashion, okay, to me, fashion is about trend spotting, okay. Fashion is about emotion, okay. Fashion is then about speed of delivery, okay. And then fashion is about sustainability, okay. And all of these points are pretty much being touched by Amit in the conversations. I'm going to now come back to let's say trend spotting, okay. During this pandemic in the last 2 years, if you look at our buyers and merchandisers, they typically make trips to foreign countries to identify the new trends that are coming up and then introduce those new trends. Right? Last 2 years we had no ability to travel, and hence they had to start getting smarter about how to still spot trends without having to travel. Okay, so I think that's been one big shift and a big challenge actually on the design and advice. Okay. They got smarter about looking at social media influencers, really trying out a lot closer with them. And I think even during this pandemic, a lot of social media influencers have kind of come up with. So I think that's one challenge which the merchandisers and the design teams have fairly decently well managed. Okay. That's about the trend spot. I then talked about fashion is about emotion, right? On the emotional front, when a customer is, let's say, purchasing a product, be it online or be it offline. Online, because AI plays a better role in the online personalization, being able to recommend certain types of products. So AI is being used extensively over there. And personalization can be plain and simple as to what are the other types of products you want to buy, communicating, targeting categories to customers about certain products. When manualize comment, communicating to them about relevant design for them. So I think you have talked about something similar. Then that's really where it is. AI can be extensively on personalization. Okay. When I talk about speed, okay, speed, I talked about inventory, so availability and the ability to deliver fast. Right? During the pandemic, we had a situation where we had to deliver products to customers rather than customers walking out of the store. So speed there comes in on my assortment, planning of assortment, my transportation. So I would say my assortment planning may not get me AI enabled and stuff, but my transportation algorithms, my route planning, etc. are heavily AI based and improvements. So and given that we deliver from various stores, warehouses to customers, right? So AI is really a big role for us. And the last thing I talked about was sustainability. We talked about the amount of fashion, apparel that we waste. So very clearly on the sustainability front, I think AI is going to play a big role in being able to really fine-tune your assortments, do your demand planning a lot better. Okay, and I think that very few companies, retailers are really able to do that yet. But yeah, now the keyword is, 2 years back it was more about fast fashion. I think now it's more about slow fashion and getting it right rather than that. But I think this is a kind of broad summary of what it means to me and where AI is.
Great. Thank you, Vikram. You actually created a path and much simpler for me to then build on what you said. How I look at AI and what every fashion retailer or any other retailer is trying to do and leverage the technology. If you look at technology is there for everybody, but it's available for every company. But we all need to go back and understand that how a particular technology is relevant for my ecosystem and the problems we have in hand. Okay. So what Vikram mentioned, fashion is all about emotion, fit, style. It also has a factor of latency. People see something, they like something, they want to buy something, and then when inventory is not there, they get disappointed. Then they look for the similar stuff elsewhere. That brings a question of how do we be more efficient in terms of what we are showing to customer. Because there are multiple hooks you are leaving as a brand on digital space all over the place, in social and different places. And in this journey of conversion and profitability, what is my efficiency equation? Okay. So there are multiple problems within that. And you will find that you placed an order, but courier company, they accepted the order, but then they cancelled it. They said, okay, pin code not serviceable. Do you have a very simple thing? Okay, very simple thing. But then how will you, do you have any algo? Forget about AI. AI is quite far away. Do you have any method that you hop that order to another courier company, to another courier company, and to another courier company? Okay. Same happens on the forward path and even the return path. So what I am trying to say is that before we really leapfrog into AI and the big topics, there are cases for weak AI. Okay, so weak AI, as industry term says, is the use case specific AI. Okay, so primarily it comes from financial segment, financial institutions where you have algorithmic trading and so on and so forth, and then you have companies driven by AI. They create their real portfolios driven by AI. And from there, a lot of companies learned that the concept of weak AI, that how to solve a particular problem, how do I use some algos to optimize some particular topic. So whether it's a style, whether it's an efficiency topic, and then as Vikram mentioned, supply chain, range planning, so on and so forth. So in all of that, what is most important is companies, they have to understand what are their top 2, 3, 4 big topics which they need to solve, and if the technology available, whether it's AI, small algorithmic changes, solve it. That's all I have to say.
Hey, thanks Vishal. Next up we have Ranjan, who is the CIO of Bestseller India. Ranjan would love to know more about how Bestseller. So I think Vishal talked a lot about the top 2 or 3 problems that that your company is facing and how you need to figure out if there is technology available to solve those challenges. What would be those top 3 challenges in your case?
Thanks, Vishal, and I'll continue from where you left. And I think it's AI as a technology has to solve our real life problems. We found a very, very innovative idea when pandemic hit. And a common problem for most of digital retailers or e-commerce retailers where we needed to catalog a shoot to happen. Where are you going to get the shoot done? So, kuch to band hai. Where are you going to get the model from? How are you going to get the international model to fly, stay with you, go through the entire shoot, do the post-production, and then make the product available, because e-commerce was the only channel available. Dukane to band thi. Where are you going to sell? That's the only revenue model which we all had, most of us had. And that's when we started thinking on this problem of how to solve that problem. And we figure out a algo where we said, why can't I shoot through different angles to start with on a mannequin? On different stylized, and we used to shoot stylized shots. How can I style a mannequin and take a shot through AI, do the post-production, place a model whose rights I would have taken and who could be an international model, who could be sitting anywhere in the world, and map that and show that, take that particular image up on our website, up on all your digital assets, wherever you wanted to. And that's the way how you one problem that we solved was non-availability of the model. The second problem that we solved was we were able to bring down the entire cycle time for almost close to about 7 odd days into this entire process, because now I did not have to send the merchandise to a studio which was maybe in Bangalore from Mumbai. We set up a rig within our distribution center itself, so it took us a few minutes to just move the product to the rig, do a shoot. Within 2 days, everything was up and running. Now that's a real life problem that AI could solve, because the person is sitting somewhere else, the shot has happened somewhere else, and then at the end of the day, I could still give a similar access to a digital asset into my entire library for wherever it needs to be consumed. One of the problems we solved was this, because it was a huge challenge. Then the other problem that we started also facing was, and as fashion retailers we all face actually, I have spotted a trend. It could be a very good trend. Is it relevant for me? Will it make sense to me? How do I understand that? How much is it going to sell? How much do I produce? How much do I send to which particular store? How do I set up my store assortment? And to top it all, do I have a mechanism to be able to change some intrinsic elements into the design in terms of the design elements, or maybe change the color shade itself and figure out, is there a probability to be able to sell higher? In fashion, fashion retail is one of the biggest polluter in the world. We dump huge amount of inventory that we do not sell. We nearly have about, after season, we will have normally about 20% left over. Where does all of this inventory go through? It will go into second sales, it will go into discounted sales, but there will be a point of time where you're going to dump it. We are all talking about sustainability. How do we cut down on the number of pieces that we are manufacturing? We have consumed so much of water, so much of energy in trying to manufacture that, and now we are again consuming energy, time, money in filling that and consuming that waste that we have generated out of that product. So I think that was another problem that we solved again, where we worked on some AI models where we were able to bring in images, take a picture of products, capture some attributes of it, through deep learning, find out a lot of more elements out of that product, and then be able to predict saying, how much is this particular product going to sell? And if I change some of the elements, how is it going to behave? How is it going to react into my ecosystem? Maybe not in the ecosystem of someone else, or maybe not in the ecosystem of Europe or US or other markets. Because what could be relevant in Europe might not be relevant in my ecosystem, might not be relevant in my market. And that's where, to be able to understand what are the elements which are taking the product sell-through higher, or what is it going to take the product sell-through lower, what is pushing it down? Is the pricing pushing it down? Is the color pushing it down? What should I change? What should I improve upon? So these are the two big pieces that we tried to solve, and we fairly solved both these issues, and we've been pretty successful in the last 2 years in terms of usage in both these areas.
It's super helpful, Ranjan. I think this is actually solving sustainability through better inventory management, which not just prevents the environment, actually results in a better balance sheet for you guys and income statement for you guys. I think this is pretty interesting. And I think inventory came out to be a one common theme across everything that you guys spoke about. Would love to double click more on that. I think anybody who wants to volunteer, maybe go forward with, Ranjan spoke about how they solved some of their inventory challenges through better forecasting. Is there any other way you guys solved the inventory challenges, especially with online? I think one thing, it's very easy to say that we need to do better planning, but with trends changing so fast, so continuously, and at the same time online, everybody wants to have the biggest catalog online. It becomes an even more increasingly a bigger challenge to actually solve the inventory problem. How much to keep, for what SKUs, how much to try out, and then you have all these fast fashion brands competing with you. Would love to know, maybe anybody wants to volunteer to talk about a bit more about this challenge.
So just to add on, Ranjan's, there are few things I want to highlight. So fashion industry globally contributes to 10% of the carbon emission. So that's huge. So 25% of the insecticides are being used in the fashion industry because of the fashion industry. So inventory definitely can be planned. See, there are few things which a human or seeing the reports or analytics which we are watching cannot be decisive. So we need to have some model wherein a decision or a suggestion can come out to plan better. So companies like WGSN or there are other companies who suggest the trends which are coming in a year or 2 years, right? So they are building the whole model on AI, definitely. What is being sold, what is going to sell. So that trends and definitely based on your production or the capability of your production and a better way of understanding how much is going to sell, right? So we cannot predict that we'll be selling 10 lakh garments in a year based on few reports. We need to have certain engine which recommends based on the market trends because the data is the key here. So if the data set is huge, wherein the market trends are included, then only a good AI can suggest or a good model or a technology can suggest something which is close to actuals, right? So the AI can help us in predicting trends. AI can help us in predicting how much we can sell. Based on that only we can plan the inventory and other things. So this is.
No, this is super helpful, Amit. Kuntal, go ahead, yeah.
Hello. Vikram, one of the things that you said really resonated with me, where I think fashion is all about expression, art. I mean, those of us who love fashion as users, or even if you're in the industry, that's one thing that excites you. And I think that aspiration, imagination element in that sense is always with the brands, with the designers, where there is that creativity that is coming forward, and that is also what consumers are looking forward to. I think where the mismatch actually happens is not understanding the context and not understanding the user. And, I think that is where AI can actually come into the forefront, right? Like one of the things I saw recently, I'd gone to Dubai, and, I saw some gorgeous stuff in the name of modest fashion. Now, she's covered head to toe, but it is stylish, it is beautiful, I wanted it. We live in a country which is also reasonably conservative. But if you are looking for party outfits, it'll be very difficult for you to find something that does not show skin. And I think that is where I see the usage of AI coming in, right? I started my career in data analytics in 2003. It did not have this buzziness. It definitely was not considered the hot space that AI is today. But what happened somewhere in between was we developed the capabilities to be able to absorb and process images, which is very powerful. When a customer walks into the store, who is she? What is he? What are they about? Can we draw trends and insights from that? Do they fall into the prototype of what we expect? What is it that we're seeing from social media? Who is this woman? Who is this person? Who's this guy? Where are they operating in? I think we get a lot of direct consumer feedback and insights because of the model we have, because they are talking to a personal stylist. But I don't think that is doable for every single business. But I do think there is larger patterns that can be drawn from images that you see online, text scraping. I mean, always fun to do from any of the social media sites and see what people are complaining about or what they're talking about. And I think merging that user context with the design aspirations of the brands is where we need to go towards.
Yeah, I just want to quickly build on what Kuntal said. All what she said is called as associative AI. So associate multiple factors and then algo reads and then throws a result. So you don't have to do all of that. Very simply put, what you have to do is if you're running a website, app, whatever, there is lots and lots of, and on your app or a site, there is a search button. There's a lot of things people are searching. They expect from a brand. Blue jeans with this, blue jeans with this. So they are leaving a lot of clues for you. Okay. Simple thing you have to do is combine that data, what you have, who is that person, which pin code they are looking, this search is happening. So there is a lot of data you don't have to buy. And associate that data with your current inventory, styles, everything, and what you are aiming to buy. So when Vikram mentioned, or somebody else mentioned, and Ranjan mentioned about models and imagery and use of AI and range planning, all of this first-party data is there in your hand for range planners, merchandisers, everyone. How do you build that first-party data, associate that, build an algo, and with simply automated way, it tells you that this is the best path scenario for maybe pin code so and so. It will sell more there. It will sell more here. So you reduce a lot of the other topic that I mentioned, the efficiency topic. So then you reduce a lot of waste from your entire value chain. That's the only thing which I wanted to add.
That's absolutely true.
And Vikram also mentioned one beautiful thing, that fast fashion is changing to slow fashion. Right? So that's a very nice term.
Actually, not slow fashion, I was really careful with that word.
Right.
Right first time. I think that's what's important. I wouldn't, originally the reaction would be slow fashion, but it's about getting it right first time, which is about proper demand planning,
Exactly. Yeah.
But I just raised my hand and I wanted to make one point about inventory we talked about. So inventory, if I look at, there are a lot of individual brands that have come up, in the last 15 years, 3 years. These brands have started to sell on their physical, they probably expanded a little bit physically on the physical stores, as well as selling online. Okay? So now when you look at inventory, or a smaller retailer like this, what is the biggest kind of propensity to waste inventory? Okay, is when you have stock available in a store, but a customer online does not have access to that information, that this inventory, this red t-shirt is available in a store. So if you keep your inventory, the online inventory and the offline inventory separate, then any customer, any consumer who is browsing your website or your online website is not able to know that, hey, this red t-shirt may not be available online, but it's available in a store, and you are going to be able to fulfill that. So that wastage due to having a single source of truth of inventory is actually a very fundamental thing in retailing, right, with the online and offline. And while we talk about it several times, I don't think a lot of retailers are able to get their hands on. So I think that's really critical to have a single source of truth. So that a customer comes into us, even if a customer walks into a store and is not able to find that, they are able to find red, they are able to blue, or they are able to find green, we are able to immediately tell them, hey, let me open my online platform and show you if I have green and I will deliver it. Okay? So that's very simple stuff, but to do that, you have to have a single source of truth. One place where that green t-shirt sits. I think that's the key. Another area I would say where you can look at where a fashion retailer, and we are doing that as well, is to optimize your inventory, is buy small, buy small quantities, but make your inventory visible to your suppliers. Okay? Make that visible so that they are able to now see your inventory and make decisions on that. And be able to say, hey, looks like this, this white t-shirt is running out, I will deliver you some more. So rather than make big buys upfront and then end up wasting or having to sell them at second prices and all that stuff, buy small and start working, collaborating with your suppliers to get the visibility of it and help them to make a decision. That would be ideal. And a lot of us are doing that.
Thanks, Vikram. I think broadly what we realize is that inventory is the biggest challenge. In fact, when I entered into this industry before we started fashions, the biggest challenges we saw was either this industry suffers from excess inventory on a few products or we suffer from less inventory on the ones that are selling. But thanks a lot everyone for sharing their views. I've already got like signaled a couple of times that we are done with our time. So sorry, I think if you did not get to speak. But thank you everyone for being here. Super insightful session, and thank you everyone for listening to us so patiently.
Can we take one question from the audience? Can we take one question from the audience? One question. Audience, any question from any one of us? Okay, great. We delivered the message very well.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
all right. Thank you.